For more on this, I'm joined by Susan Sullivan. She's a lawyer and professor in the Politics Department and the School of Criminal Justice at Temple University. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. What is your analysis of the latest events in the Congress?
I think like most of America and probably most of your viewers right now, it's something of a fiasco. I think everyone has become um, somewhat entertained by this. And I think many people understand that it's something of a fiasco, but don't necessarily understand or not are completely sure about how important this is, or how significant it is, and how it really is going to impact day-to-day American life, because what we're dealing with here is really probably the most important person in government, second only to the president, and in some ways even more important than the president, because this is the person that controls all the people who are making laws about everything from taxation or the environment or immigration. This is the body of people. These are the legislators who have the power to declare war, something the president doesn't have. So even though this seems to be something of a fiasco, it really is critically important because, as I say, this is one of the most important people in the American government.
It's been 4 days since this political impasse began. For how much longer do you think it will continue like this?
Well, there is going to be one more vote in about 3 hours. That's 10 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time, New York time, Washington, D.C. time in the United States. And the general consensus now is that it is going to end, that the vote for Kevin McCarthy will finally go through. There were, as you may recall, 20 members of his own party who would not support his candidacy, and he has over the last day been able to pull away 14 of those. There are also two members of his own party that are literally, as we speak, flying into Washington, D.C. to add their two votes to the numbers. So I think he's one, maybe two short, depending on if these congressmen arrive by plane tonight. In time for the vote. But it looks as though this will end, at least this vote will end today. But it is just the beginning now of somebody who will be the person who controls the way the government operates, but who now has a majority. His party has a majority. But we've seen from this that it might not be that easy for this majority to get anything done because of all this infighting, because of this resistance in their own party, and the fact that they were not willing to even come together to agree upon a leader. So that means, although one part of this is ending, their ability to govern is just beginning, and that may be seriously impaired.
Professor, I understand a majority of the Republican Congress persons are supporting Kevin McCarthy. There's a small fraction which is against him. But given the fact that he hasn't been able to secure the vote in 13 rounds, is there a possibility that the ones who are backing him would no longer back him? Are they going to put a deadline? Okay, let's say by day end today, Kevin McCarthy has to win, and if he doesn't, then we need to think about a plan B, possibly put someone else in the front.
Well, of course, anything is possible, but I think that's at this stage highly unlikely. Nobody else has actually been put forward by the people who oppose Kevin McCarthy, have not actually put anyone else forward. And they are, as I said, dragging these resistors over to their side. And it's interesting, too. I think one of the reasons they'll have the numbers is because the people who were opposing him now see that the vote is going to go his way, and they don't want to be on the side of the losers. They want to be on the side of the winners. In fact, we saw one of them today who has been resisting, walking into the chamber, announcing in his vote that he would support McCarthy. And despite having been somebody who's erected obstacles for the last 3 days, he got a round of applause from everyone. So the people who were resisting are moving over now in part because they want the government to be able to function, in part because they no longer want to be seen as one of the few people, one of the handful now, that are holding up the business of government, the ability for the government to actually do its work.
Professor Susan Sullivan, thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.
You're most welcome.